to Abercrombie for us. Tonight you're going with Mark Copland. Welcome back, John.
Thank you.
What direction is your music going nowadays? How do you feel about it?
I don't think about it too much. I mean, but if it does seem to be going more, if it's going anywhere, it's going back to a little more of its tradition, which is playing a little more standard tunes and jazz kind of music. I find myself, especially with Mark Copland, we play a lot of, we play our originals, but we also play standards, and I just think if it's going anywhere, it's going back to the tradition a little bit, but it's also could go anywhere at any time, but I think that's how I started. I started playing blues and standard tunes, and I think I still somehow like that the most, in a funny way. I like to write my own songs and play other people's songs, but a certain kind of improvising only really works on the standard songs. So that's where I'm doing now.
Okay. In your last record, you played and collaborated with the great violinist Mark Feldman.
Mm-hmm.
The jazz music, the relationship between violin and guitar are not recent. We can remember Django Reinhardt and Stefan Grappelli,
of course, yeah.
Jovenutis, Eddie Lang collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel inspired from this collaboration for making your new sound?
No, it's not really. I mean, of course, I listened to, especially to Django and Stefan Grappelli when I was young, and I liked it very much. I mean, nobody could play like Django, especially. I mean, I never tried. That was something I never tried to do. I tried to copy, Barney Kessel and Charlie Christian, and of course Jim Hall and Wes Montgomery, these people, but I never tried to imitate, when I was younger, imitate Django, because it was impossible, It was. But no, the relationship with Mark Feldman didn't have much to do with that. It was more the sound of the violin and the way Mark plays, which is more classically trained. He studied and he plays a lot of the classical repertoire, and I think that's what drew me to Mark, was more this sort of idea of a chamber sound, with the violin and the soft electric guitar, more like a string band, guitar, violin, acoustic bass, and of course drums.
Okay. And what do you think about the Gypsy culture and music and the Manouche guitarists like Angelo De Bar, Birol Green, Stochelo Rosenberg?
Oh, they're fantastic, but it's not music it's music I like to listen to, but I would never try to play it. Never. And actually somebody asked me to play in some gypsy thing about 1 year ago, and I said, I don't feel that I could do this. I would sound strange. It's not what I do, and I would definitely feel out of place, we say, So I like that music, but I don't think, it's not a big part of who I am as a guitar player. I know it's very guitar music, But I think a lot of my inspiration was not only guitar players, but just music in general, like Bill Evans, Miles Davis, of course Jim Hall.
American music.
Yeah, but music from around the 1960s, because that's when I was young and growing up, and the music I heard were people like this: John Coltrane, Bill Evans, Miles Davis, Jim Hall, Art Farmer. So I think that's my connection to jazz music, more than guitar music. It's more just overall jazz music,
Okay. You've been playing guitar without a pick from a long time.
Yeah.
You start playing using your fingers, especially your thumb, like Wes Montgomery. Do you feel your instrument closer playing in this way?
Yes, I do. Yeah, for me it feels much closer. I like the sound better. I feel closer to the instrument. I feel I can. My rhythm is better when I play. I feel my sense of time is better. I feel more connected. The only thing that's missing sometimes is with a pick you can do more tricky, complicated things. I mean, you can play faster and you can play arpeggios and this kind of. But so I miss being able to play some of this, but overall I like the thumb. And I only use these fingers for chords, and if I'm playing in a trio and I need to play chords, and or if when I'm accompanying Mark, I use my fingers for chords. But all the single notes are done with the thumb, and occasionally I'll use this finger a little bit, but not so much. So it's really just the way like Wes played, but different, you know.
Yeah, different. And in your video, Jazz Guitar Improvisation, you never talk about musical theory, but you focus on the feeling and sensation that music can give us while we play. Your message is a kind of sentimental education to music.
Well, I mean, as far as playing the guitar and making music, I don't. I mean, I know a lot about harmony and theory, but I try to play it as naturally as possible. I want things to sound very easy and natural. I don't like complicated things. So that's why my teaching video is very. It's more about the concept of how you play, and not so much. Nothing to do with the technique of how you play. It's more just trying to hear what you play, and trying to be more connected to the music, and not so much thinking about scales and things. But you have to know this too. And I think that's why I like the standard tune so much, is because you can approach a standard tune without knowing scales so much. If you know the notes in the chord, and some more extra notes, like some scales, but you can play standard tunes without thinking of scale, scale, chord, scale, chord, scale, chord. But when you start to play other tunes that are more complicated, then you have to think more from the scale. So I think that's why I like standards and simple songs, because I don't have to think so much, about the scales. But of course they're very important, but I don't, when I teach, I don't talk about them so much. It's more about, getting the right notes and trying to hear what you play. That's why on the video I talk about playing one note or two notes and quarter notes. It's something, something very simple. So if you play simple and less, then maybe you can hear what you play. If you always play patterns and things you've memorized, you miss something. You miss the hearing the music so much.
Okay. And today you are playing with Markov, and one is your one of favorite musical partners in when you play with Chico Hamilton Quartet and some other bands. Right. You always play with great empathy and intensity, something that makes me think to the collaboration between Bill Evans and Jim Hall. And tonight, what do you will play tonight? We will play probably a mixture of standard tunes and original tunes. But you're right when you say about Bill Evans and Jim Hall. This duo sounds a lot. It's not that we sound like that, but the instrumentation, first of all, guitar and piano. And I'm playing, sometimes when I play in my larger groups, I use two amplifiers and some more, not a lot of effects, but some reverb and some stuff. And for this particular tour, I'm playing just the guitar in the amplifier. I use a small volume pedal, but that's only to control the volume. Otherwise, it's very old. I mean, it's old-fashioned, the way I'm approaching this duo. And I think you'll notice tonight that it sounds very much like that, So we'll play a mixture of standards, and we'll play some things from the recording, from the Speak to Me. Of course, we made this record, so sometimes when you make a recording, you feel you must play the tunes from the record. But we play maybe 3 or 4 songs from the recording, and then everything else is like more or less standard tunes. Like Ralph's Piano Waltz.
And tonight we'll probably play Ralph's Piano Waltz, because Ralph will be here, I mean, that was a special tune, that I wrote years ago on Ralph's piano. I was in his apartment in Greenwich Village, and he was away, traveling and playing music, and I stayed in his apartment, and I fed his cats, and I watered the plants, and he had this old piano, so that's where I wrote the song, on this piano. So it really is, we must play it tonight,
Okay, inside your records and your sound, we can find Indian and Maghreb's music influences, especially when you play on one string. Could be mixing and respecting differences.
the secrets for a peaceful world?
I don't know. I don't like to attach anything really to the music. I think it's a very personal. I think music is very personal, and I really don't know how people hear what I do, or I don't know. So for me, it's just a way to. I've always looked at music as sort of a way to make something really good. I want to play really well and make something that's like art. Make it really sound good, and then I feel better, and then hopefully people who hear it feel better. But I think mostly about just trying to do something really, really well, and I think it helps you to. If you do something really well, like music or art, it helps you to understand yourself a little bit more. It helps you to understand who you are and what your place in everything is, and it's. So for me, it's just a way to be, a way to express myself, of course, but it's more than that. It's some kind of just process of understanding who you are,
Okay.
It's difficult to say, and I don't know. And yes, sometimes when I play on one string I have been influenced by a lot of different kind of music, not just jazz music, of course. I mean, folk music, Indian music, Chinese music, classical music. But as I get older, I seem to be coming back a little bit more to this traditional thing. But if I see you in 1 year, I'll probably be playing completely free jazz and I don't know, because I probably will get tired of just playing this, and I want to play something freer, more, challenging or different. I don't know. That's why I never plan anything, But I just did a recording in New York for ECM that will come probably around May or June. It will be released, and that was with Joe Lovano, Joey Barron, and Drew Gress on bass. And it's more like a tribute, kind of a tribute to the 1960s, to those people, to Bill Evans, John Coltrane, Miles Davis, Jim Hall, of course, Art Farmer, all these people that I heard when I was very young, and music they played, some of their original compositions and some standards that they played. So it's kind of more of a jazzy kind of record than some of the other records with the violin, because the violin was more like almost chamber music, and we played some very free things. This is more structured and a little more sounds like jazz.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
What do you think about the crisis of democracy and the difficult time that we are living? Can music or generally arts help us to get out of the situation?
It helps me to get out of this situation. If I didn't have music, I don't know what I'd do. I think musicians and artists in general, I think about things differently than people who don't play music or do art. So it's a difficult time we live in. I mean, with everything, with all the war and the economy but musicians, just see, we always have that. We always have the music that we can come to and feel good and help us through these times. But it helps even in good times too. That's why music is for all time. It helps you through the bad. It can help you through the bad times, but it can also make the good times even better. So, and I'm not sure how it affects the people who listen to it and buy a CD or listen to the music, but I'm sure that it affects them and maybe makes their life a little more pleasant, and makes them forget about a lot of terrible things, Yeah, I think it does,
Okay, John, thank you so
Sure.
much.
You're welcome.
See you next time.
Yes, I hope so.